Good afternoon, everyone. So the topic that we chose to do our research on is robotics and personal assistants.
I'm Lamont.
I'm Adrian.
I'm John.
All right, so our research topic was robots and personal assistants. We decided to kind of broaden that definition to artificial intelligence because we believe that's what makes up robots and personal assistants. So we decided to make the claim that people are becoming more dependent on artificial intelligence, and we're trying to research how artificial intelligence is being developed and how people are reacting to that.
So our research process mainly consisted of using the databases that the school's library had and supplied us with. So some examples will be ProQuest Research Library and JSTOR.
Some of our other resources were Google Books and Google Scholars to find our text. I think that's those resources were used. A lot of the articles you kind of had to pay for them, and a lot of the books you were kind of just not accessible at the moment. So.
And for the ProQuest, we had to use like key terms that we previously discussed in class, and same thing with JSTOR.
So one of the articles I decided to use was called "Long-Term Trends in the Public Perception of Artificial Intelligence" by Eric Horvitz and Ethan Fast. Eric Horvitz was perspective in this particular topic. I like this article because it provided a unique perspective of like the development of AI, because from all the articles we read, they were always from professionals. But with this one, we kind of had like the perspective of the public and the popular opinion. So.
For the book, I came across a book called Principles of Artificial Intelligence, written by Niels Nielsen, who is a Stanford professor who basically is the authority on artificial intelligence and computer science. He has 23 years of experience working in artificial intelligence, and he's written several textbooks on the subject. I picked that book specifically because it was the most recent, and I felt like it covered the topics of development of artificial intelligence broadly enough to kind of forego the type of technological advances that academic research wouldn't be able to really keep up with.
And for the website I chose, it was called Apple Urge to Develop Personal Robots, which was from the website Investor Business Daily. And I chose this article because it was within a reasonable time range, being written in 2015, which obviously like it's good, because if it was written like, let's say 10 years ago, the information wouldn't be as accurate as now. And the article basically discussed how Apple is trying to develop robots to help us, or to help people in their daily lives, like elderly people with performing basic tasks, or to entertain like children and of that sort. And so I felt it was very much related to our personal robots, or to our topic, which is personal robots. And so the viewpoint, the opposing viewpoint, or the article basically discussed how efficient it is, and therefore the individual will be occupied with the robot or personal device, or whatever you want to call it, and that way it'll help with efficiency. Though, therefore, if a parent's busy, they can give and they're not able to give their full attention to their child, they're able to set up the robot that way the child can be kept busy. And that's a positive viewpoint. And the negative viewpoint will be that the parent might not give as much attention to the child, therefore eventually kind of neglecting them and depending too much on the robot and missing out on the parental experience.
The solutions proposed to these types of conflicting viewpoints is that the people who are for robots and personal assistants being more incorporated into daily life say that these types of technology to help make things easier and life easier for people. So like they're used for helping the disabled and general, like searching for things that take a lot of the load of having to do work off of people and give that to robots. But the people who are against the incorporation of this technology into daily life say that people are becoming too dependent on it and that it's not really safe, quote unquote safe. They say that could propose a security threat, like people are worried about like how everything is becoming more interconnected. And the solution to that would be a more mindful development of how we use personal assistance and robotics in our daily lives. And there are like groups of professionals at the forefront of the field who like have seminars talking with other experts in other fields, talking about how they should incorporate artificial intelligence into daily life. So they'll go and talk about like how it would work in systems of government and academia, like how it could help people find and do research more effectively and like curb plagiarism and things like that.
Solution. So another solution for kind of like countering the negative effects of AI technology is kind of looking at how much the positive outweighs the negative. And so like we're already seeing that from the research that Eric Corbett and Ethan Fast looked at, the public is more optimistic about the rise of AI technology just because it helps with completing menial tasks and it maximizes their productivity, and it's also kind of improving programming products that rely on computer programming and using the artificial intelligence to kind of make it more efficient and just be better products.
That concludes our presentation.
By the way, my name is John.
Oh, I'm Rita. Hi.
Rita.
So what is ubiquitous computing?
So this is related to the concept that it has been developed in the last 22 years since the 90s, 88. And it's basically a computer science where it's meant to appear in every single place you go to. So it's supposed to be everywhere. Every single place you go to, home, streets, buildings, any public area, any private area.
So all of your personal information, or any information for that matter, is available on any device. We're focusing mainly on the risks in ubiquitous computing. So it can be a great thing to have. It is convenient and it is helpful to have all of your information accessible everywhere, but it does pose threats. Here is the father of ubiquitous computing. He's the one who kind of, invented.
So Mark Weiser, he's the guy who is behind all this since the 1988. And he was the one who coined the phrase ubiquitous computing, which is, it's meant to be present in every single place you go to. And what he wanted to do is, back in the 88s, they didn't have that many cell phones, they didn't have iPads, watches, but he wanted to create every single object to have a different size and to be carried differently. So in 2017, we can see that people have watches, they have cell phones, they have iPads, and they use every single device in different ways. So that's what he wanted to create, and now we have it. So after 22 years, we have it. Back then, they didn't have any of this, but they were developing this idea of how devices communicate with each other and how we can use them and how beneficial they can be for us. But in 2017, it came to the point where it's no longer safe. I mean, it is safe, but it's in the conversation, it's half and half, basically. It is safe, it is beneficial, but at the same time, it has,
Because anyone can hack into, your accounts and take your personal information, and that's why it's not safe. One of the opposing viewpoints that we found was that, internet is becoming so much safer now. There are all these restrictions and boundaries, and it doesn't let you pass those. You can't get hacked. It's not as easy as it was before. But that's only true to a certain extent. There are still websites that aren't secure, and so people can still hack into your information. And that's why ubiquitous computing, although very efficient, is not 100% safe.
So the main reason why we chose this topic is because it has two sides of the coin, basically. It's good and it's not good at the same time. And it's all related to the privacy. It's easily most often cited to say that it may be the greatest barrier to the long-term success. So if these companies, that the ones creating these devices, and they implement these softwares, they basically have to sign a paper saying how much of the citizens' information it's being shared with somebody else. So different companies, they share information to see what's the best product for you and how it can be developed in a better way in the future.
Okay. So the article that we found, the scholarly journal titled Philosophy, Privacy, and Pervasive Computing, it's talking about how, ubiquitous computing is great, but it highlights three main topics specifically. So privacy as control of personal information in network-enhanced environments, privacy and existential autonomy, and the existential autonomy of human well-being. So, this scholarly journal is talking about how, there are problems with identity theft. So, it's privacy that's the main issue. And then we found a book that's focusing on ubiquitous computing again, but issues relating to mobile and pervasive computing. So there are problems also with malware. If your computer gets a virus, that's how all of your information could be at stake as well. Other people can get access to your information. And then a website article that we found is talking about how putting information out on the cloud, again, is a risk to your privacy and your personal information.
Because what's happening is when you have, let's just say you take a picture with your cell phone, right? That picture is going to be sent to all the devices that are connected. So if you have a computer, you have an Apple Watch, you have a cell phone, that picture is going to go to all devices. So let's just say your computer is on right now, and anyone can just go ahead and use it and see that picture. But then you're not thinking about, did I change the settings? Did I make it private just for myself? Or anyone else can use it? So when we're looking for all these articles that talk about this topic, we're looking for this kind of steps and questions to ask ourselves. So the first one was how much confidence it's every single user going to have when they are provided by these devices and these benefits. The second one, it's more like concern about the privacy management. So, like I said, if there's an Apple product that you buy, what's Apple gonna do with all the information and notes about each one of you guys? What's the principle behind all this? And then the last one is what's the concern of the function? And it's kind of related to the policy decision making that all these companies have, and they do. And then, so it has advantages and disadvantages. It can make every single one of us, our lives easier in terms of daily activities. They're going to be faster and they're going to be more cost efficient.
So if you have a device at home, but you have your phone with you and you need the information that's on your laptop at home, you can access all of that information from your phone. So there's a I believe it's called iCloud sharing or something. It's on your iPhone, so I can access anything on my laptop, even though my laptop is like, say, 1,000 miles away from me. So it does make a lot of things, very convenient. And Google also has like Google Docs and slides, and you can access it from anywhere. But what if someone got into your account? Then they can also access it. They can access it from one device and then start seeing files from other devices as well.
And then what do? That's the question. Like, did somebody else help you out? Or what company is going to be involved in that? So the challenges that it has, it can make environments more controllable. So let's just say you're at home and you're not going to be somewhere else, but you can control the environment. You can control the temperature. Let's just say in this room, like somebody else is going to be controlling the lighting, how much light goes inside the place, how much natural light, and then the AC, the heater, all that stuff. And then it can also undermine human freedom. So these devices, they're going to become much developed in the future, like in 2020. So let's just say there's a problem with these devices and they just don't work, and you're not responsible for them, and the actual device is going to be controlling itself, changing the temperature and stuff. So we don't know what's going to happen in the future, if these devices are going to be controllable or we can stop them right away. And at the same time, they can basically invade our privacy, and they can show their behaviors, what we do, what we don't do, what we talk about, and it can be shared with somebody else. So this solution is all about the technology being developed in a better way to show
that ubiquitous computing can be safer, as opposed to how it is right now, threatening privacy and personal information. So we do believe that maybe in the future they will create a safer solution to ubiquitous computing, but right now I think it's best to keep personal information perhaps not so much on the web or on these devices, because you never know when you can get hacked and this information can be taken. So, we found another opposing viewpoint, and that one is talking about how, it positively impacts human health and environment because it's creating a new form of it's creating a new form of human and machine interaction. But, I think another problem with this is that you're becoming so involved with your device or your life on the internet. What part of this, are you differentiating from your actual life and your life on the internet? So another thing we wanted to address.
What's up? Any questions for you guys?
My name is Michael. I did my research on drones, particular personal drones that should be registered and have strict regulations. A lot of the research that I did, especially when I just typed in drones or personal use, it normally went to military UAVs, which are unmanned aerial vehicle. Again, for military use, they're used to survey terrain and enemy targets, drop coordinates, and help recon soldiers on the ground. And they're very quite undetectable. But once it went down to consumer products, they had a lot more application for civilian use. Real estate surveys, they're used to monitor insurance damages, such as if there was a hurricane or a earthquake. It's a lot safer for operators to use these drones to survey the building and damaged areas, so they get human interaction out of the equation. Other people would use, or especially when it comes to government use, such as state parks or law enforcement, they would use to monitor wildlife or anyone happen to hike and they get lost, it's a good way to kind of send out multiple drones to kind of find them out, and without spending more money on helicopters trying to look for them, and rescue operations that will go under it, and aerial photography, such as taking wide shots of land or in film. It's also being used quite often. A lot of the research that I found was on Gale opposing viewpoints on Gale. And a lot of it was talking about how these drones could be used to spy on people, invade certain privacy laws, and the fact that not a lot of them, there's a big risk if a drone were to fall and hurt somebody. There's that issue as well. And when I went to a website called hoverdrones.com, which is a blog site that lists out every drone law that's being in effect or pending, and I found quite a few that were very detailed on how to control drone usage within a populated area or urban area. One drone law that I found, if you were to get a drone, you had to get a permit and be registered in. Just in case if you're flying like 2 miles away from where you're at, it happens to malfunction, falls down, people were able to get that drone, find the owner, and contact them, especially if there's any damages, so that individual is responsible for it. And now they're making drones they're using drones as a way to claim insurance ways. Treat them as cars, so if there is any damages, you have to have insurance in order to cover that. If there's any bodily harm, you also have to cover that, or any damages to the drone itself. When it comes to privacy, it's very loose compared to, say, like a baton. It's not a criminal offense, but it is a civil offense if you were to use a drone, especially now drones you're able to attach recording devices to it. But if you are caught with that, with drone recording someone, then at that point it does become a criminal offense. But flying over someone's house, it wouldn't constitute that. But if a lot of these times when they are caught, it is a misdemeanor, and a lot of times you could either face a hefty fine or jail time depending on the state. And of course, the criminal offense would be flying over government installations, schools, prisons. That would have some negative repercussions to it. Again, there is a lot of solutions when it comes to drones. Especially when it comes to law enforcement. One thing is now that, especially in an urban area, it's a lot difficult to find people because people hide in buildings. So drones are able to maneuver around that, and it's less expensive than having several helicopters flying overhead.
Specific people or companies that are kind of paving the way in drones? Like, who are the leaders in the field?
AIG is a big one. They use it not only for home, but they do it for companies as well, especially companies that have big structures like oil installations. Since it's going to be a lot more difficult and a lot more manpower to kind of survey the entire compound, they would use these drones to fly up high to the oil rigs to see if there's any damages. But they also have used it for neighborhood areas, like say Hurricane Katrina, where they have devastation like miles long. They would use drones to kind of survey and assess the damages from there. So a lot of times insurance companies are big ones, governments of course, but they use it for military applications. And then state parks are another one that they use a lot too, especially when it comes to monitoring wildlife. Since again, there's so much land that they have to cover that they don't have the manpower or the finances to deploy that kind of survey. So a lot of times drones would be a lot easier to get over the trees and kind of look around the land and kind of monitor the way without interrupting the wildlife there as well.
How did you find the research process? Was it difficult on this topic, or were you able to get a lot of info?
It is difficult only because drones, especially in the commercial use, is fairly new. So, I mean, there's not a whole lot of laws against drones now. There are a lot that are pending, but they're very vague on what it should cover, especially like when it comes to home privacy, because if you have a drone and has a recording device on it, people could say you're peeping on me, but once the drone goes back to its owner, they can easily erase the footage and then deny the entire process. So it's kind of hard to catch them in the act. Not only that, a lot of these drones, again, they're very quiet and they're undetectable, so a lot of people don't even know that they're around. That's only if you happen to be looking up. But most of the time, we're just kind of like head on the ground, so we don't even notice these things.